All right, and this will be the end of the Assyrian rule. Now, I'm going to give you some more info than you ever wanted to know, but this will be good. It'll set you up for the next time. So, there's some cities here you've got to know about. This is Thebes. It's in the southern end of Egypt, which is actually what's called Upper Egypt. Even though it's in the south, it's called Upper Egypt. On the north side of Egypt is Memphis. You want to stay away from that place, but Memphis. Thebes is considered, or was considered, a holy city. They have these cities, that are built to gods, and they're considered holy cities. Another supposed holy city is Babylon, from ancient times. There's another one. There's many of them, but another supposed holy city is Ashur. Ashur was the first capital of Assyria, and then Nineveh. The other place you'll need to know about is Lydia. You'll remember Lydia in Revelation, or in Acts, I guess it is, the woman from Lydia, a seller of purple. But the kingdom of Lydia, there's a king that's going to pop up that will be in our story. Then the other names you'll need to know are Scythians. That's way north here, up by the Black Sea. Those are wild people. And they come down and fight against Assyria. There's also Cimmerians, Cimmer, Cimmerians, not Sumerians. And they have problems with Lydia back and forth. You'll recognize Haran, where Abraham was, but this is going to be a city that'll pop up in our story. And I think we'll go from there. Those are the major spots. Once you know that, then you'll know how all of this plays out. But so that we get Bible in us, because most of what I'm going to tell you is history. But Bible, first of all, keep your finger in Nahum, we'll come back. Go to Genesis 38, verse 24. Genesis 38:24, and I think that speaker's probably about to go out. Genesis 38:24. He says, "And it came to pass about 3 months after that it was told Judah, saying, Tamar thy daughter-in-law hath played the harlot, and also, behold, she's with child by whoredom. And Judah said, Bring her forth and let her be burned." Ooh, that's the punishment for whoredom, a burning. We're going to need to know that because we're going to cover some cities God calls cities of whoredom. Therefore, he's going to burn them. That's the law. Look at it in Leviticus 21. Leviticus 21, verse 9. Leviticus 21:9. When God calls his people this, or a tribe this, it's dangerous, because the penalty is to be burned. Leviticus 21:9. "And the daughter of any priest, if she profane herself by playing the whore, she profaneth her father. She shall be burned with fire." Now we're Nahum 3, verse 7. Nahum 3, verse 7. "And it shall come to pass that all they that look upon thee shall flee from thee, and say, Nineveh is laid waste. Who will bemoan her? Whence shall I seek comforters for thee?" Look down at verse 13. "Behold, thy people is in the midst of thee, are women. The gates of thy land shall be set wide open unto thine enemies." Here's the punishment. "The fire shall devour thy bars. Draw the waters for the siege, fortify the strongholds, go into play." He's telling them here, I'm going to destroy your city. Do all you can right now. See if you can oppose me. And and tread the mother. Make strong the brick kiln. You know what you do in a brick kiln? You light a fire. Verse 15. There shall the fire devour thee. The sword shall cut thee off. It shall eat thee up like a cankerworm. Make thyself many as the cankerworm. Make thyself many as the locust. Drop down to verse 18. Thy shepherds slumber, O king of Assyria, calling him out. Thy nobles shall dwell in the midst of the dust. Thy people is scattered upon the mountains, and no man gathereth them. There's no healing of thy bruise. Thy wound is grievous. All that hear the brood of thee shall clap the hands over thee. For upon whom hath not thy wickedness passed continually? He's saying they affected every nation. Look at another prophet who is the same time frame and has does not hold anything back. Zephaniah 2. Zephaniah 2, verse 13. Zephaniah 2:13. And he will stretch out his hand against the north and destroy Assyria, and will make Nineveh as a desolation, and dry like a wilderness. The flock shall lie down in the midst of her, all the beasts of the nations, both the cormorant, the bittern, shall lodge in the upper lintels of it. I lost my place. Their voice shall sing in the windows. Desolation shall be in the thresholds, for he shall uncover the cedar work. That is, God's going to meticulously take her apart. 15. This is the rejoicing city that dwelt carelessly, that said in her heart, I am, and there is none beside me. That is, we are number one. How has she become a desolation, a place for beasts to lie down in? Everyone that passeth by her shall hiss and wag his hand. This is God's proclaiming, I'm going to destroy you, and I'm going to destroy you openly so the world can watch it. Look at this. Now you understand the Old Testament events here are small pictures of a big event. Let's find the big event. The big event is Revelation 18. Revelation 18, verse 3. Revelation 18:3. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth hath committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxen rich through the abundance of her delicacy. That is God saying, Mystery Babylon here has done the same thing that he's accusing Nineveh of. Look at Revelation 18:20. Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for God hath avenged you on her. Now, you don't rejoice over the destruction of another person unless God says to. Now, here God is saying, y'all get happy about this. I'm enjoying it. Here's what's going on in Assyria. We'll cover let me get you that slide. We'll cover the guys that are here, and I'll give you a little recap of who they are. This is going to lead us. This is the end of Assyria, how it finishes up, and that will set us up for the raising up of Babylon, and then we'll go into the book of Daniel. Tiglath-Pileser III, he ends the peaceful Jonah effect. You remember, Jonah had come into Nineveh and preached to them, and they repented. And for 30 or 40 years, it was all quiet. We didn't hear anything from Assyria until Tiglath-Pileser III showed up and says, I'm making some changes. We're going to make Assyria great again. And he does.
Yes, nice.
Ahaz makes a deal with him to pay tribute. And, he's scared of him, so he pays him off. And that's going to haunt Judah for the rest of their days. After him, Shalmanesser V shows up. He lays siege to Samaria and begins the deportation process. Shalmanesser, probably a general, kills Sargon. Sargon II is next and kills Shalmanesser. Sargon was probably the general. and he was not happy with Shalmanesser, so he just offs him, which was typical in those days. You wanted a general to be fearsome and ruthless in order to scare the people, but many times it backfired on him. The general was so ruthless, he would take out the king if he didn't like him. This guy, Sargon II, continues the deportation of Samaria and heightens it. He goes and attacks Egypt. This begins a ongoing campaign to claim Egypt as an Assyrian territory that will last until Assyria is no more. After him, Sennacherib. He tries to take Judah and Egypt, but an angel of the Lord showed up and took care of 180,000 of his troops, so he decided he better go home. Now, we read it in the Bible, and it feels like when you read it in the Bible that he goes home and dies. There's some time lapse between that, between when he goes home and when he actually dies. He returns home and becomes unpopular because he made a big boo-boo as far as the population is concerned. He attacked Babylon, which was considered a holy city. And how dare he attack Babylon? His two oldest sons kill him because he's become unpopular. The military and the family of the king, nobody was secure. That's the devil. That's the way he is. And so they kill him. Now, they had not been real smart. They didn't figure out who was going to reign after they got rid of Dad. So you know what's going to happen. Those two can't figure it out either. The third son is Esarhaddon. The other two boys had been fighting over the throne or were in the civil war for the throne. The third one's name is Esarhaddon. He's the younger of the two, or the three. And as his two older brothers are fighting for the throne, he gets popular support from the people, which was a smart way to go, and builds an army and drives his two brothers out. We don't know where they went for sure. They probably went to the mountains over there of, that would have been probably Elam. Okay, so he rebuilds Babylon because he's popular and he wants to please the people. Remember, Babylon was the supposed holy city. He goes down there. There was an ancient writing that said Babylon would be rebuilt in 18 years or something like that. And so he told his priest, that's not good enough for me. Go rewrite it. He says, write it backwards so it says 11 years. That's what he did. And he rebuilt it in 11 years. He was in a hurry. Manasseh begins his rule during this time frame. The Scythians, let's get back to our map. The Scythians, they're up there to your northeast. The Scythians begin a migration from the north and put pressure on Assyria from the east. In the meantime, Gyges becomes king of Lydia. That's all the way over there in Turkey, Anatolia, and puts pressure on Assyria from the west. So they're getting pinched. He's having problems right here. Just because you get the throne doesn't mean you can do anything with it. Esarhaddon invades Media unprovoked. You know, the Medes and the Persian. Media, of course, is not on this map. It would have been over here, the other side. It'd have been right in here. That's where Media is. Okay, so he does this unprovoked, and that makes him some enemies. Finally, he's becoming unpopular. He's been doing everything to, gain the popularity, but now he's made them mad just because he was mad. If it's like he got his feelings hurt, and so he had to go take it out on somebody. So he went after the Medians. In his mind, though, he still holds a resentment for Assyria being beaten by Egypt. He can't let that go. He's got to go down there and set them straight in his mind. Taharka, the king of Ethiopia, has been hired by Egypt. I'm giving you a lot of information, I know it. Taharka has been hired, this is in your Bible, Taharka has been hired in order to help Egypt fend off Assyria. And so Taharka defeats Esarhaddon in the Sinai Peninsula. Whew. He's just not having a good decade. Esarhaddon goes home, builds a larger army, and is able to capture the northern half of Egypt, where Memphis is. And in fact, he makes that a capital city. Esarhaddon there has in his mind, he's not done. He's going to take the whole nation of Egypt. But he does not want to be sidetracked with affairs of kingdom building, or whatever the kingship required. He sets his two sons, one in charge of Assyria in Nineveh and one in charge of Assyria in Babylon. Splits his kingdom up that way. Goes back. I'm going to go back and finish off those, no good Egyptians. He dies in Carchemish. Doesn't make it to the battle. Or in Haran. He dies in Haran. After him shows up one of his two sons. One's in Babylon and one is in Assyria, or the one running Assyria is Ashurbanipal. Now, that's a name that's a famous name. He's the last great king of Assyria. He's the one who ends up taking Manasseh off of the throne. We talked about him this morning, and put him in the dungeon in Babylon. He's an Assyrian king and the last great of the greats. He makes himself the high priest of Ashur. Pretty good. When you're the king and all powerful and you can cut people's heads off, you can say you're anything you want. He becomes all powerful in both religion and politics. Now he's got it all. In the Bible, you couldn't do that. The priest couldn't also be king. And there was a reason for that. He too takes up the effort to subdue Egypt. These people can't get Egypt out of their mind. So he marches on the supposed holy city Thebes in the south. His father had gained control of the northern section. Well, Taharka, remember him, the one who had been hired and ran him off once. Taharka stirred up a rebellion among the Assyrians left in Memphis. They were left there to govern as satraps, as puppets for Assyria. And so he stirs up that big bad Assyrian. He doesn't mean you good, and I would do you good. You know how that goes. Well, Ashurbanipal is nobody's fool either. He goes up there and punishes them and puts his own ruler on the throne. This is someone you know. Well, maybe not know, but know of. Necho. Pharaoh Necho. That's a puppet put on the throne by Ashurbanipal in order to carry out his wishes in Egypt and oversee things. He returns to Thebes during the book of Nehemiah, or not Nehemiah, during the book of, that'd be a trick. During the book of Nahum, he's in Thebes probably. Assyria is finally in control of Egypt now with a puppet king in Memphis. The same year, Necho dies, and then his son takes the throne. So now we have a puppet, and now we've got a descendant of a puppet. This guy's name is Psammetichus I. Psammetichus I becomes the founder of what will be the 26th dynasty of Egypt. And he's supposed to be answering to Assyria, but we'll see it doesn't turn out so well. Ashurbanipal thinks he's done good. He's going home. As he goes home, it's dangerous to get in their way. Anything in the path of a returning army is in trouble. Pillage. That's right. Well, Manasseh is the one who got his anger this time. He takes Manasseh no, this time he didn't take Manasseh. This time he went right bypast Manasseh because Manasseh played like a good boy. He paid him. Said, here's some travel money. Keep moving. Well, because he couldn't fight them, he moved north. His next target became Tyre. They always want Tyre. Tyre was a commercial city. But he couldn't really do anything. He laid siege to it, but Tyre is an island. And so they can support themselves from the sea. So he didn't make out too well. Now some interesting things begin to happen. At this time, while he's in Tyre, Gyges, who is over here in Turkey, Gyges in Lydia, he says, I need help. I've got these Sumerians pushing in on me. Would you come through here? He's over here in Tyre. And he says, when you come through, would you come up here and help me? And if you do, I'll pay you tribute. I'll join the party and be every year I'll send in my donation. Well, he's not too impressed with Gyges. He returns, comes through there, and obviously he helps to defeat whoever his enemies were. And then he goes home. But in so doing, he snubbed Gyges, wouldn't give him the time of day. And I would have said, okay, good, it accomplished what it needed to. I'm happy. You don't have to write me a letter or anything. He goes on home. At home, he spends the next 5 years getting Elam and Mesopotamia under control. When I say Elam, that's south of Babylon. What he's not ready for is a double cross. Here's what's going to happen. The whole world's going to turn against him. It's been Assyria demolishing the world, but soon he's going to learn what karma is. These are the people that believe in karma. Gyges in Lydia throws his support behind Egypt in a plan to throw off Assyrian control. Psammetichus, the puppet king, is in rebellion, as is all vassal states. Here's the list of them. Elam, Babylon, Phoenicia, Philistia, Judah, Syria, and Media are all against Assyria. That's right, not good odds. One by one, he subdues all of his opponents. He is nobody to mess with. But it takes a lot of toll on him. His army's probably losing thousands of men every time he goes to battle. Not only that, mental. That'd just wear you out. The last 20 years of Ashurbanipal's life are quiet. The history books don't record much of it. Of course, we're only getting history written by the Assyrians. And unless there's bloodshed, there's no need to write home about it. Manasseh dies, and Ammon, his son, is killed, and Josiah, the reformer, you'll remember him, though he's the one who found the scrolls, and he tried to clean things up, takes the throne. Nahum declares the fall of the bloody city, talking about Nineveh, and Jeremiah comes on the scene, echoing the same message. Zephaniah is preaching the same message. So Assyria has got to go down. We've heard too many prophets saying the demise is coming. Ashurbanipal dies, and a civil war between his two sons breaks out, and the winner turns out to be one son named Saracus. So many names here, and I know you won't remember them, but you can rewind the video.
Thank you.
As the civil war in Assyria is being waged, there's something going on south of Nineveh, and that is Babylon has a man come to the throne who wants it all. But he's not stupid. He hooks up with somebody else who wants to take them out. Nabopolassar is the one who's in Babylon. He claims the Babylonian throne, and after 5-year battle ensues, he and Saracus appeals to go after Assyria. Saracus, the one who's running Assyria, needs help. He's being attacked by Babylon and by the forces that are coming from this place up here. So they're coming in like this, yeah, and coming up like this. So what's going to happen is he says, I want help. I'll appeal to my own vassal states. He appeals to Egypt. Psammetichus is in Egypt, but Egypt does not return his phone call. He gets no help. He's left high and dry. The Assyrians' downfall comes in twofold. First, Cyaxeres the Mede. He's I showed you where he is. He's actually, it's southeast of the Black Sea. Yeah, of the Black Sea. And he comes in this direction, the Mede, and Babylon is coming north. Both of them decide they're going to take out Assyria, and they do. Nabopolassar in the south, they come up and they meet at Assyria's holy city, Ashur, and they besiege it. Well, here's the problem. If you've got two powerful nations coming in and destroying one nation, it's the same problem the kings before had when they had sons. Who gets it when we're done? So they said, we need to come up with a plan whereby we can maintain peace between ourselves when we win this thing. So they have a wedding ceremony between Nabopolassar's son and, what was that other guy's name? And Cyaxeres' son, or daughter. Yeah, that wouldn't work. And the son of Nabopolassar is named, y'all know who his name is? Nebuchadnezzar. That's where Nebuchadnezzar comes on the scene. It's his father who's the general and the big bad bear that takes out Assyria. Saracus flees to Nineveh because they have destroyed his city. His city was Ashur, the holy city. Surely they won't come in here and destroy a holy city. Well, he'd been running around the country tearing up holy cities. They're not going to fear to come in and take his. So he runs. He runs to Nineveh. That's the next big city. And nobody there really cares. He takes his court with him to Nineveh and lights it on fire and burns himself and his court to the ground. And that's the end of the Assyrians. All right, so we made it through the end of the Assyrians. Next week, I'll give you a tiny bit of history on Nebuchadnezzar, how Nebuchadnezzar, it goes from being Nabopolassar to Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar's going to take over from his father soon. Then we get the book of Daniel.